We have officially reached the halfway mark of the year. Isn't that crazy to think? I want us to reflect on that really quick. I want us to think about what our last 6 months have looked like. Are we happy with her? Have we done what we said we were gonna do? Have we fallen off of our routines or resolutions? It's okay if the answers to these questions aren't the ones you hoped for, because hope isn't lost. In fact, if you're in this place, it's even better. In this video, I'm going to be sharing tips on how to change your life in the next 6 months of the year and how to create discipline with yourself. So take out your pens, papers, and highlighters or whatever it is that you need, because we are about to turn around. What's up? If you're new here, welcome, Bienvenidos. And for my A1s, Day ones, it's always good to see you back again. I'm Haskady, an actress from Washington Heights, New York, and I led a TV show all the way in Hollywood, California. And this channel is dedicated to teaching you the lessons I've learned along the way, as well as the many things I wish I had known a lot sooner to help me navigate this thing called life, all in hopes of helping you in yours. Now, let's get back into the video. Look, I'm always going to keep it real on here. The main reason why some of you have not succeeded in your resolutions or have fallen off of your routines is because you low-key have been your dreams. And for the rest of you, it's simply because you didn't have a solid game plan to begin with. So when life decides to, well, life puts you through all of these obstacles and tests, and you're over there sitting asking yourself, why me? And you find yourself losing track or focus on your vision, it's because you didn't have a solid game plan. There was no foundation to hold you up or systems in place to help you out during those times. I know this ought to be true because I was both of those people. So let's not make those same mistakes, because let's be honest, aren't you tired of letting yourself down? Aren't you tired of hearing yourself constantly say, tomorrow I'll start again? Aren't you tired of living the same day over and over again, ending up with the same unhappy results? A couple years ago, I was working part-time. I was unhappy with my body, my mindset, and my overall self. Up until this point, I had already worked many jobs. And just to name a few, I worked at Skechers straight out of high school, and I was putting in so much work that the skin on my feet started to peel. Like, no lie, your girl was working hard to get that commission, okay? I had headshots to pay for. Then I worked at US Polo, and the kids would come in screaming, it ain't Ralph though, because if you know, you know, but don't get me started on that. I then worked at Equinox, which wasn't bad, but my hours were crazy. I had the opening shift, so that meant I had to open the gym by 5 a.m. So I was up at 3, left my house by 4, got on the 1 train on Dykeman, rode it all the way downtown, and then got off to take the crosstown bus. I then found myself once again working at another gym. After going through this for about 5 to 6 years and many auditions that led nowhere, not even callbacks, I found myself crying almost every day. I thought 100% by this point that my life would be figured out, that by this point I would have made it as an actor. I felt completely lost. I had no friends. I stood home majority of the time. Like, I only would leave my house if I was going to the supermarket. One day, as I was venting to my fiance, then just my boyfriend, I realized something that changed it all for me. And that's gonna change it all for you too. And that was that I didn't have a bulletproof plan. There was no structure to my dream. I just allowed myself to go with the flow and rely on others to give me the opportunities. I relied on people to validate me, to tell me that I was good enough for X, Y, and Z. I was not connected with myself. I mean, isn't that crazy to think how we disconnect from ourselves without even realizing it? See, a long time ago, I knew that acting was my way out of the hood. I mean, I have videos on YouTube of me expressing myself about how bad I want to be an actor. And I'm going to link that channel below so that you can go and see it right after this. The only thing that's stopping you from starting your journey, the one thing that separates you from someone else who's living their dream, is simply making the decision. That person made the decision that it'll be that or nothing at all. When you make the conscious decision that this is what you want to do 100%, that no matter what happens, you are going to give it your all, that you are going to die trying. Yeah, that may seem intense, but that's the attitude that you have to carry around when you make the decision to follow your dreams. When you do this, the universe gets like a notification. I like to think of it like an app on the phone. When something is trying to get your attention, it'll send you one of those push notifications, right? It pops up on your screen, you go reach for your phone, you open it, and then you look into it. That is exactly how your dream works. The moment you say to yourself that you are fully going to commit to your dream, the universe gets that notification because you are basically putting it out into the world that this is what you want to attract. Because now you and the universe, the higher power, the manifestation of it all, knows that this dream is serious and it needs to be respected as such. Exactly. When you make the decision, you shouldn't allow yourself to switch up. Stop saying to yourself, this isn't working. I'm going to go try something else. Maybe I'll give it a break and then come back to it. Did I make the right decision? All of these things. Stop doubting yourself because you haven't fully fleshed out a plan. You haven't fully allowed yourself to make it work. You haven't given yourself enough time. When you have thoughts like that in the back of your head, whether you like it or not, whether you believe in it or not, you are always going to give half effort to your dreams. Because in your subconscious mind, you tell yourself, well, if I fail, it isn't that bad because I really didn't give it my all. And that's literally the first step to your dream. I knew change needed to happen because if I let another 6 months go by doing what I was doing before, I knew I would regret it. I mean, I already saw what those last 6 months came with, and it came with everything I didn't want. So I didn't mind leaving behind. I had to act on it. I went completely ghost. I went into isolation. I decided that I was going to learn as much as I can and do as much as I can and see if in the next 6 months my life would change. And guess what? This decision changed my life completely. I booked Saved by the Bell and I moved all the way to Los Angeles. Never even been to Los Angeles before the show. And I was living my dream as an actor. If I made my dream come true, you can too. Once you've already made the decision, you need to start strategizing because deciding something and not knowing how to follow through with it can only get you so far. I decided that I was no longer going to spend my time on social media or do things that no longer served me, my purpose in life, or my overall health. I needed to gain better understanding about nutrition. I needed to learn how to actually move my body and understand the timing of life. All of our journeys are always going to be different when we are chasing our dreams. And you know what they say? Comparison is a thief of joy. And honestly, comparing yourself isn't good for our overall mental health. When you first start to think about how to strategize, one quick way is giving yourself deadlines and sticking to them. Because there's many times we will get distracted, which I'm going to go more in depth into that in a few, or we'll get pulled in many different directions to do everything but what we set out for ourselves. If we create a system where we follow and stick to the deadlines we give ourselves, we know when it's okay to say yes, and then we know when it's okay to say no to things. Because your yes isn't good enough until you learn how to say no. And when we start saying no to certain things, we realize how much time we spent doing things for other people versus doing things for ourselves in order for us to elevate, in order for us to move forward in life. Also, you'll start to see how the more you give yourself deadlines and the more you stick to them, the more you'll be able to get done in a shorter amount of time, which only promotes productivity, but also keeps you inspired and in that zone. And with having deadlines, we then subconsciously create discipline within ourselves. And discipline is one of the hardest traits for people to develop because it's all about choices. We will have to make choices that can pave certain paths for us in our careers. You see, many people like to take the easy way, the path with less resistance, but for those of us who take the harder way, the path with more resistance, and stick to the fact that this is the decision that we are committing to, the outcome is better and greater. Now, circling back to all the distractions, here's the thing about it. In today's world, it is so easy to get distracted. There's distraction everywhere we go. So we need to learn how to eliminate those distractions or at least minimize them. I mean, we carry around a device all day, every day that allows anyone and everyone to get in contact with us at any time of the day. The amount of information and news we are exposed to on a day-to-day basis can be overwhelming for our minds because we don't allow ourselves time in between to register or reflect on what we just consumed or what we just experienced. And then we are hit with another post, another pop-up, or a call about something else. And this cycle is the biggest distraction of all, especially when you are chasing your dreams or trying to work on yourself. But of course, we can't just walk around with no phone. I mean, we can, but I know I rely on my phone to help me get places. Sometimes there are certain phone calls that I need to pick up or phone calls that I need to make myself. But when we create a game plan around how the phone will be used, the phone now becomes an asset to us and not a distraction to us. We must learn to put certain limits on things and boundaries from others around us and let them know when we are available. For example, for the apps, I like to set up a time limit. The iPhone allows you to go into settings and create a limit as to when they would basically stop you from using the app. Now, don't worry, because you can obviously override this feature if you really need to get into the app for whatever reason, but at least it can help assist you on not spending unnecessary time scrolling. That time scrolling is valuable time that you can use to put towards your dreams and put towards how you're going to change in the next 6 months of your life. Another distraction, and I hate to say this one, is family and friends. But this is when you find your tribe. Look, I love being with my family. I love talking with my family and hanging out with my friends. But like everything, there is a time and place where you will need to separate yourself. If you are trying to tap into an idea or learn something, or if you are just trying to catch up on work and let's say your mom calls or your cousin or your bestie or literally whoever, you have to be okay telling them, look, I'll call you back after I'm done. And they have to be okay hearing you say that. If you don't create these boundaries, then you will never get anything done because you'll be busy spending your time juggling everyone else's needs and not your own. When you go into work and you clock in, I'm sure those people around you understand that. And I'm sure they're not constantly calling you or asking you to do something for them. And why do you think that is? Because they know that you are working. They know that there's no ifs, ands, or buts. There are certain rules that they need to follow and that you need to follow so that you don't get fired. You need to treat your dream the same way, with the same exact disciplines. You have to set these rules in motion for yourself and for your desired life. Another thing when it comes down to creating boundaries, which will be an eye-opener for many of us, is that you will see who respects them and who doesn't. Honestly, I feel like this is the best time to know who's on your dream team and who isn't. Because when you make the decision to fully give it your all for your desired life, you can't afford to have any negative outside noise or distractions. When it comes time for you to set boundaries, I'm sure you're going to see that telling certain people in your circle may feel easy. But then we have to be aware of how we feel when we hesitate to tell certain others. This can be one of two things, and listen closely because it's important. One, you might be overthinking and scared they're going to judge you. Or two, you might know deep inside that that person doesn't believe in you or your dream. And look, if it's the first one, then don't worry. It's okay to overthink. We do it sometimes. It's our way to weigh our options, right? We're trying to see, well, how do I approach this in the right way? This mostly happens when we tell like our parents or the closest people to us because we love them and we do care about what they think. But if you really want to live your dream life, your life to the fullest, it starts with you. You don't need validation from anyone. You know exactly who you are and what you are capable of. And trust me when I say you are more capable than you give yourself credit for. And when they see you believing in yourself like that, with this passion and this decisiveness, those people will respond and they will follow you on your journey. Now, when it comes to number 2, you have to ask yourself and answer honestly, why are you hesitant to tell this person? Why is it that you don't want to share your next greatest decision in your life with them? I'm sure it's because you know the response you're going to get from that individual. It's most likely going to be negative and unsupportive. And the truth is, I also found myself in that situation. And it wasn't easy because I knew the next step was for me to slowly separate myself from those people. If you're starting your journey full force with all of this enthusiasm and passion and love, why would you let someone else's lack of belief in themselves take that away from you? Because those are the type of people who don't believe in others, the ones who don't believe in themselves. And the thing is, once you've made that decision, you'll notice that subconsciously the choices you're going to make from here on out will reflect that and support that vision for you going forward. And let's be real. Why would we want to bring along someone who doesn't fully support you in your journey or your dreams? Why would you want to allow someone like that to share your space of creativity and positivity? Why would we even want to let that person benefit from the reward that's gonna come when they originally doubted us? Funny enough, this brings me back to a very crucial moment in my career. And if I didn't know it then, I definitely know it now that it was only setting me up for success. But I had to show that I was fully ready to commit. It is February. For those of you who don't know, February is one of the busiest times for actors. It's what we call pilot season. Basically, it's when all the actors are auditioning to get casted for all the new projects that are being put out there. And in this specific pilot season, my contract was coming up with my agency at the time, and it was automatically going to renew unless I gave them notice that I did not want to move forward with them. Now, any actor in their right mind would never do what I did. As far as I know, I don't think I've ever heard of anyone doing it. And just me right now about to speak about it brings me back so much emotions because I'm basically reliving it as I'm telling it to you. But it also brings me back to how hard I fought for my career and how hard I'm still fighting for my career, but also to have my voice being heard, especially as a Latina in the industry. I was with an agency at the time that despite all of my efforts in trying to meet up with them, trying to create game plans with them, and just trying to communicate about how I felt and where I visualized myself going in my career, we weren't meeting eye to eye. There was a lot of doubt in their voices. I felt like I was being pushed to the side because I wasn't booking anything. I wasn't even getting any callbacks. But keep in mind that a lot of the roles that I was getting sent out for were roles that were not fit for me. I literally remember contemplating what the heck I was going to do. Was I going to sign with them again? Was I not going to sign with them again? There's about 2 to 3 months of pilot season. Am I crazy to even leave them during this time? I felt so hopeless. Like, it was the first time in my career that when I got an audition, I struggled so hard to put myself on tape for it because I knew that it was going to require so much time and energy from me. And all this time and energy wasn't going to give me anything back. And so I remember being at the gym that Nate was working at the time, and me and him were talking about it, and he tells me, he looks at me, he goes, and this is the day before my contract renew automatically. If I'm not mistaken, either the day before or the exact same day. And he tells me, you have to make a decision. And when you make that decision, you have to be okay with that decision, and you have to stand by that decision regardless of the outcome. You can't beat yourself up over it. And I knew he was right because I was already telling myself that, but I was trying to find ways for that not to be true. And so I remember picking up the phone, calling up my agency, and there was this huge lump in my throat. You know when you're about to cry, but you're trying to hold it in, and then you create like that ball in your throat. It's just like there. And like, you know that if you breathe the wrong way, you're just gonna like waterworks. And through that lump, I was talking to them and I'm expressing to them, you know, why I feel like I don't want to move forward and all these things. I'm also saying, you know, I'm sorry for the inconvenience if there is any. And as I'm saying this, there was a part of me in the back of my brain that was like, in the back of my head, that was like, I'm waiting for them to kind of fight for me. I'm waiting for them to tell me, look, we understand the industry, you know, there is no guarantee, but don't worry, we believe in you. You got this. We can make it work. They didn't say none of that. And that was a moment where I felt even worse a little bit, but at the same time, I knew that the decision I was making was the right one. And the crazy thing is that I didn't have anything lined up. I didn't have another agency lined up. I didn't know what I was going to do first because I've never been put in this situation before. There were so many unknowns out there, but I knew that I had to make that decision right then and there. And I knew I had to stand by it because if I didn't do it then and there, I was going to be stuck with them for another 3 years, feeling the exact same way I've been feeling, and most likely getting the exact same results. After I hung up, waterworks. I felt so out of body. It was like this out of body experience. I'm like, what did I just do? What I didn't know then is that in that moment in time, the universe got a notification. And a couple months later, almost around mid-year, 2 things happened within that time frame. I got a personal email from someone over at ABC that wanted me to come in and audition for a TV show. I didn't get the part, but I was close. It showed me that the universe was still on my side. And then I also ended up getting a new agent, which at the time was a perfect fit for me. You see, it was a very scary time in my life, having to decide something so big. And again, during pilot season, a very crucial time for actors. It's like the universe and God wanted to see how serious I was about my career and if I truly believed in myself the same way they did. So if you ever find yourself in a situation like this where you have to make a certain decision, you have to sit with yourself and you have to answer honestly, because that decision is most likely going to catapult you into the next step of your career, or it's most likely gonna pull you away from it. And in between all of these tears and roller coaster over emotions, I knew that I couldn't stay in that state for very long because I needed to strategize my next move. And that's when, around that time, I decided to get rid of social media and focus more on myself and my craft. I read books on it, watched interviews, took classes, and watched some Latina-driven TV shows. I immersed myself in my field. And that's what leads me into the next thing, immersing yourself in your craft. Whatever it is that you love to do, you must educate yourself on it. You must be a practitioner of it. You must learn as much as you can and gain as much knowledge as you can in that world. Who's who did what, when did they do it? Watch interviews of people you get inspired by. Take notes, attend certain events, surround yourself with like-minded people, build that community. You'll be surprised by what you can find with a quick, simple Google search. There are literally programs out there looking for you. They're looking for people like yourself to join them. And the more you look, the more you'll see that there are so many nonprofits and fellowships out there and classes for you to sharpen your skill even more. You need to understand the type of work ethic that's required for your desired field. Get a better understanding of what goes on behind the scenes. Maybe that's by volunteering your time just so that you can see firsthand how things are, how certain things come about and the flow of everything. Also, you'll get a true day in the life of what it's like for someone in your desired field. Y'all, I remember doing background work on The Get Down. Y'all remember that Netflix show, This Is It Right Here? I wanted to do background work on it because I knew it was a big production and I've never been on a big set like that before. So I used it to learn how it works. I listened and I observed. The hours were long and it was hot as heck. And I heard a lot of the extras talking about the poor working conditions. And look, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I did also experience some of that poor treatment. I mean, it is a fast-paced environment, and on those long, hot days, I can see why people might get a little bit on edge. However, I never took it personally, but I kept that in the back of my head because I told myself if I was ever in a position where I either led a TV show or a movie, I would love to know that the background actors are well taken care of. And then, boom. Saved by the Bell happened. And there was a lot of extras on that show that we worked with. And on those very hot California days, I would go around and ask them, hey, do you need water? Are you good? Or I would let the PAs or anybody else know, hey, make sure you check on this person. Make sure you check on that person. Because when you move in the world with that kind of energy, everywhere you go, you're going to create a fun and good work environment that everyone enjoys. And you know what they say, right? Like the best chefs or restaurant owners are the ones that started at the bottom. They've already done all of those jobs before they actually own the restaurant, so they know exactly what goes into it. So don't be afraid to go get it how you can. Forget what people are saying out there. Go out there and learn and have fun doing it. Remember, this is a journey. This is a moment for you to learn and take in as much as you can. We all know that saying, let go and let God, right? That brings me to the next thing. Stop trying to have control over everything. Some things are inevitable, and the inevitable things are the ones we have no control over. So it's important for us to identify those things. Why stress over something we wouldn't even be able to change even if we gave it all of our time and energy? The inevitable things are literally the things that were going to happen regardless. What we need to start doing instead is start focusing on the things we have control over. We need to figure out what those things are and how we can shift that into our favor. For example, we have no control whether we get that one job or not. What we do have control over is how we prepare ourselves for the interview, how we dress up for the interview, how we show up and give our best answers to the questions to the best of our ability and our knowledge, and also how we react to the news that we didn't get the job. Those are all the things that we do have control over. And what do they all have in common? Making clear decisions, making clear choices, and sticking by them. It all comes down to our mindset. Think about it. Our mindset is the only thing we truly have control over. If we work on how to be more positive and how to grow our knowledge and our desired field, we start to build a stronger and more powerful mind. Imagine if I had a weak mindset when I decided to leave my agency during pilot season. I wouldn't have gotten a new agent. I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have gotten the role of Daisy on Saved by the Bell because I would have given up on my dreams. But when we apply all these things, we don't let the thought of the unknown scare us. We don't let ourselves be driven by fear. We need to give ourselves grace. We also need to give ourselves time. The only way we can give ourselves time is when we create those boundaries. It's when we say no to people and things that interfere with what we originally had planned for ourselves. And to bring it back to the beginning, when we face things that we don't have control over, because look, we are humans, so it's okay to feel down when we experience those moments. Even with a strong mindset, we still have emotions, right? This is when you turn to your circle, when you turn to your tribe, the group of people that we know could be a safe space for us to vent, to be a shoulder to cry on, to remind us that it's okay, that this is gonna pass. This is why when you feel like you don't want to let a certain individual know about your true dreams and aspirations in life because you feel they will not understand or they're gonna judge you or doubt you, it's important for you to clock that, because now you're going to avoid yourself from being surrounded by these types of people at your lowest. These people will be the ones to steer you in the wrong direction or just feed into all of your insecurities. Don't allow that to happen. Do allow yourself to be ready for adversity. Allow yourself to be able to shift when things don't go as planned. Have a vision for your journey, but don't let that be the only vision you have. And here's what I mean. When it doesn't go as you visualize, you know it's gonna be okay, because there are so many other ways for you to get there. And with that, chicas, this brings me to the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you were able to relate or connect with some of the things, and I hope you're able to apply it into your everyday life. And if you love this video, I'm sure you're gonna love this one right here. Bye.